episode is going to be one that we have never covered, even any part of it. This is going to be a couple of the different stages you're going to get to see. It's going to be on a real client's project. We're going to show you how to create a bezel, how to pick a diamond, how to burr out the opening in the black onyx for it, and how to bezel set and anchor that stone as well. Here is the inherited family ring. Now, you can see where there was already drilled an opening for the family crest, but it is broken off. Now the client would like a diamond added to it. And the best way to set a diamond in a situation like this is in a bezel. There's no prongs to snag and it will keep it very secure. So in today's episode, we're going to show you the use of a diamond burr. We're going to, a combination lapidary goldsmithing project, a diamond burr to open up the hole just to the right desired width. Then we're going to move the ring over here to where the diamonds are. And when we have our opening and our bezel, then we're going to pick the right diamond. Here's just a example of what we're going to end up with. So we're going to choose whether we want to use a store-bought, pre-made bezel, or I'm going to show you also how to adapt and use a 4-prong head. Wow, this is very close to what we need it to be. It just has to be opened up a little bit more with the diamond tool bit, and we'll have the right size opening so that the height of the bezel comes out just above the black onyx, or at least that's kind of the idea. You want it very close to flush. That way there's going to be very little chance of that bezel or the diamond being directly hit. Now, we're just going to apply a little speed. Remember, we don't want to overshoot the runway, so to speak. Now, you say, well, should you be using water? You don't have to in this instance. Water is effective if you're going to be doing really high speed and really hard materials, but with the little bit that we need to move as far as the material goes, we can really kind of get around that. We don't have a heat issue. Now we just want to go ahead and drill the rest of the hole out. Now, let me go from behind here a little bit, punch out a little piece of material that was there, come back in on the top. And I think we are about there. So now, how are you going to set the diamond in the bezel? Well, first, let's pick a diamond. All right, so my eagle eye in sorting through these, I have a few options, but I can tell from behind color and clarity pretty well. Let's see how this one fits. What you want it to do is you want the girdle or the edge of the stone to sit on top of the edge of the bezel. You don't want it to drop in, and you don't want to see the edge of the diamond before you see the edge of the bezel. That looks like a very comfortable fit that we can work with. So now comes a step needed not only to set the stone, but to anchor it as well. Let's get the torch out. This is a piece of square wire that I've created. Why square? Well, because it's square, it actually will fit and be held more secure in the jig I'm going to use in just a little bit. If it was round, the jig could possibly cause it to spin in the jig, being round. But being square, yeah, it gives it a really good tight hold. Plus, at the end, you'll see another reason why. So, I pulled that solder up onto the square wire, and now I'm soldering it to that bezel. And then, being that it'll be soldered to the bezel, I'll be able to then anchor it into the jig and therefore hold it effectively to set the stone. Now what we're going to do, since we have it in this nice little very convenient holder, and this is where I talked about that being a square wire will be held in those grips much better than if I would have soldered a round wire to it, because the round wire under the torque of the machine could actually still spin around and create issues in the vice grip. All right, so let's go ahead and burr out the bezel to the depth that we want. I've applied a lubricant to it. It's often a beeswax, actually, is one of the common, very effective ones. Now, let's see how well our diamond fits. You can see it's dropping down below the top. So now this is where I apply pressure to the top of the diamond, and I'll know whether it will snap into the bezel. And it actually literally does often create a snapping noise. If that's the case, then I've done a really good job of matching the diameter to the diamond itself. If not, then we go back in and we burr it out a little bit more. Or we can also always select a smaller diamond. I've gone around the edge of the bezel with pliers, pinching the very edge of it to just make sure it stays in place. We already got it to snap into that little seat, so with a little pressure from the pliers, it should stay in place as we apply a very well, I can adjust the amount of tension on the hammer, but it's still always risky when you're hammer setting something with perfect cleavage. What this does is it will take the metal and push it over the stone in miniature increments. Believe it or not, when you see these incredibly well set emeralds even, and bezel set opals, they're also done hammer setting. It is a talent that has to be honed over many years, and it takes sheer will and sheer belief in yourself that you can accomplish the job without breaking the stone. Okay, now let's see. We look at it from this way and this way. All right, I just see one little area here I want to complete. Now imagine when you see a piece next time at gem shopping and it has 20, 30, 40 bezel set stones, you'll have a better appreciation of exactly what it took and takes to be able to put all those diamonds in the piece. Like the multicolored diamond rings, where we have all those different colored diamonds, and each has to have a custom made bezel for it. And so that's a lot of time and effort, and then the setting of it. But this is preset now. We have our metal moved over the stone the way we want it. Now, leaving it still in the vise, we're going to go ahead and finish the bezel and polish it. Then we're going to fit it to the stone. Let's see how it fits in the opening we created. And if it drops to the height that we like, wow, that is a wonderful fit. It just the way I'd liked. It rises just above the onyx, and with the post underneath, you're saying, now what could you possibly need that for? Well, wait till you see. I'm going to cut 4 notches in the black onyx from behind. Then I'm going to split that post, and I'm going to push those parts of the split post into those notches, anchoring it without the use of epoxy or the chance of it ever coming out unless you break the black onyx. That's doing it the right way. Let's proceed that way then. Okay, so I've changed diamond burrs to this one, which will allow me to get inside the ring because I want to cut 4 little notches around that center hole. So let's go ahead and do that. Being diamond, it doesn't take but a moment, and we will have an indentation, and you'll see why we're doing that in just a moment. All right, see that one? Now we'll do the other side. Then, as best as we can reach, we will do the cross section to the inside. 2 would be enough for what we're doing, but in case, it's better to have them already there to use if we want them than not. Almost everybody and anybody would, at this point, simply glue and epoxy that stone in the center. It's almost always done that way. But you see, I'm not headed in the direction that most people take. What I am going to do now is I am going to shorten that pin that you see how much extra I have. I'm going to shorten it, then I'm going to split it into 4 sections and push those sections into those grooves, anchoring the middle. Now, let me show you how it's done. I've lined up my diamond with the split that I've created that you can see. Now, I've decided that just splitting it the one place and opening that, flanging those 2 areas out, of course, is going to secure it just fine. If I actually split it again and created 4, it would be weaker than the 2 because those would be 4 thinner pieces of metal. So this is how we do it now. I take a piece of sharp metal and I go into that divide and I open it out, and I go ahead then and apply pressure, pushing it in to those openings that I created. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll show you the finished part of it. Look at what we've done. We took that piece of metal that we split, we have pushed it into those grooves we created. There is no way physically and technically that bezel set gem could ever fall out of this ring. The black onyx would have to be broken through that middle part. This is the right way to do a ring like this. Look at how and much and how, I guess, how we've changed the entire look and feel of the ring into a modern, workable, and forever in style piece of jewelry. This is something that a father can be proud of, a son can be proud of it receiving, even ladies, men's. It's a really great piece to have in the family, and now that we have modernized it, it is good for another 50, 60 years. So, one of the most technical jobs that we have done here in the How Do You series, you have just witnessed. and a lot more technical issues go into that. And do you realize how much goldsmithing? We fabricated and created the bezel. We made the post. We had to solder it. We had to saw. We had to split. We had to set. We had to do stonework. A lot went into doing that. We did it the right way. That's the way it's done in the How Do You series. Good to have you back once again, and look forward to seeing you the next time.